The Nebraska delegation, Senators Deb Fischer and Pete Ricketts, and Representatives Mike Flood, Don Bacon, and Adrian Smith, voted together on spending measures tied to significant federal waste, as detailed in this report. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has uncovered extensive fraud, waste, and abuse in these expenditures, which represent only a portion of the delegation's overall financial decisions. This analysis highlights their involvement through consistent approvals, pointing to oversight challenges within Congress. The documented list reflects their shared role in these instances, illustrating a broader issue of accountability that extends across legislative practices, with the delegation prominently featured. The Department of Government Efficiency has meticulously uncovered $15,907,799,072 in fraudulent, wasteful, and abusive spending across 100 instances, each unanimously approved by the Nebraska delegation. Senators Deb Fischer and Pete Ricketts, and Representatives Mike Flood, Don Bacon, and Adrian Smith. This staggering sum, though alarming, represents only a portion of their fiscal irresponsibility, revealing themes of negligence, complicity, and systemic breakdown. DOGE's findings expose a delegation and a Congress too apathetic to safeguard taxpayer funds, leaving Nebraska voters with a hefty burden. The waste spans absurdities like $50,000 in unused DoD leaflets to colossal failures like a $600 million idle FEMA relief fleet. Each item, overpriced contracts, redundant projects, or abandoned assets, reflects a failure of oversight. With $4.4 billion in overpriced DoD purchases and $5 billion in unused FEMA equipment, the delegation's consistent support across defense and emergency spending showcases a unified disregard for fiscal duty. DOGE's revelations, from $200,000 espresso machines to a $590 million bloated aircraft program, highlight a Congress too indifferent to challenge bureaucratic excess or contractor profiteering. For Nebraska's 1,216,000 voters, this translates to $13,081.91 each, with every delegate's share costing $2,616.38 per voter. Yet, this is just a glimpse. Their broader voting patterns suggest additional billions squandered beyond these shared approvals. This $15.9 billion baseline underscores a recurring negligence, amplified by a legislative culture that enables such waste. The delegation's failure to question $149,072 soap dispenser overcharges or $500,000 FEMA catering exemplifies a systemic lapse, where oversight is sacrificed for political ease. Their complicity reflects a deeper congressional malaise. Tasked with fiscal stewardship, they enable agencies to burn through funds, $617 million in unused DoD parts, for $0.1 billion in idle FEMA infrastructure, without scrutiny. This isn't mere oversight, it's an active endorsement of a system prioritizing expediency over accountability. DOGE's work forces a reckoning, casting the Nebraska delegation as a glaring example of legislative negligence within a Congress that normalizes unchecked spending. The cost to Nebraska voters is immediate and enduring. Each delegate's $3,181,559,814.40 share of this waste, part of borrowed funds deepening national debt, erodes trust and economic stability. Nationally, this $15.9 billion misadventure, approved by a delegation too lax to care, signals a broader failure, with DOGE's list merely the documented tip of their fiscal recklessness. More waste lurks in other spending measures, untallied but implied by their consistent largesse. In closing, the Nebraska delegation's support for this $15.9 billion waste, as DOGE reveals, encapsulates negligence, complicity, and systemic rot. Fischer, Ricketts, Flood, Bacon, and Smith have failed taxpayers, their votes fueling fraud and abuse from $50,000 leaflets to $580 million submarines. This list is a fraction of their fiscal sins, leaving Nebraska's 1,216,000 voters with a $13,081.91 bill, and the nation with a legacy of debt. DOGE's findings demand accountability for a delegation too apathetic to curb excess, a stark warning of deeper congressional dysfunction. This list of 100 items, totaling $15.9 billion, is a damning snapshot of the Nebraska delegation's fiscal ineptitude, senators and representatives alike. Yet it's a mere sliver of their waste. DOGE's exposure of their shared votes reveals a grotesque parade, from $50,000 leaflets gathering dust to $600 million fleets rotting and used, but their individual records hint at darker depths. Beyond these collective flops, they've backed countless other spending measures, borrowing and burning taxpayer cash with reckless abandon. The $13,081.91 per Nebraska voter here is a baseline. Their true toll likely dwarfs this, a silent theft from constituents too distracted to notice. Congress, their enabler, churns out omnibus monstrosities, and these five lap it up, blind to fraud, like Boeing's 8,000% soap dispenser markup, or the absurdity of FEMA's $500,000 catering splurge. This isn't oversight, it's complicity in a corrupt machine, where $2,616.38 per voter per delegate is just the visible rot. The wider implication? A nation drowning in debt, trust eroded, while they posture as stewards. Introspection reveals a delegation not just negligent but willfully obtuse. Their waste, a symptom of a rotting system DOGE only begins to unearth. Expect worse when the full reckoning comes.